Welcome to The Teacher's Story. I'm Jackie Scully. This is a podcast to elevate teacher voice. In this program, you will hear teachers sharing their journey into this profession and their ideas for education. I'm kicking it off Teacher Appreciation Week, which starts May 2nd. This is about honest, vulnerable, inspiring storytelling. It's a time and a space for teachers to share their ideas for the future of education. Teachers are beautiful beings who give their heart and soul to their community. They're innovators, they're inspirational, not only to children, but to the people around them. And they deserve to share their voice. So welcome to The Teacher's Story. Enjoy. Hi, welcome to The Teacher's Story. I'm Jackie Scully, and today we have Matthew Kilkenny from Ireland with us today. I am so excited to have him on. We have been forming a great friendship for the last couple of years, but this is the first time I'm having him on the show, and I've been wanting to have him on for a while. He is a former special education teacher, a theologian, and now an AI ethics advocate. He was just a speaker at the Human AI Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. I cannot wait to hear about that. So we're going to talk lots about your background, but also about AI and education. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Jackie, thank you. I know it's been a long time in the making, and I did promise, and I have to admit, this is only my second ever podcast. Put them on the long finger for a long time, so I knew I promised to you, and you were one of the first. I will give a mention to two amazing LinkedIn contacts, ladies that you know. That I did a first one a year ago, basically as to why I came onto LinkedIn in the first place. And that's the wonderful Rachel Beck and Amanda Kazi Cryer. And we spoke about issues then and how I saw the future. And we're kind of there now. So what I was talking about in that podcast has been played out over the last year.
That's amazing. Well, you're a futurist and you definitely see like way ahead of the rest of us. So this is going to be important because a lot of what I like to promote on this show now is the future of education, and that we do need to think in that way because we're running out of time. We're still kind of in the 20th century. So my first question for you is, what first inspired you to get into education?
Okie dokie. So let me start with my background. I'm the eldest son of 9 children in Ireland. Where I grew up, you were made for the building sites. That was it. That was your life. No matter how intelligent or bright you are, that was it. Nobody really went to college where I came from. Took a journey to America, was hanging out in the wonderful Seton Hall University. Met to get my buddy had a soccer scholarship from there. We came from an ordinary poor background, and he was just an amazing footballer. He's since gone into the Hall of Fame in Seton Hall. And that was all a new experience for us in Ireland. Like, wow, we're going to America. You didn't even fly in those days. So it was a big deal. And whilst there, I became quite religious at the time. I'm not a holy moly jolly. Trust me, I came from a tough background, and you had to look after yourself. But I was always attracted to my faith in Christ, and they asked me at Seton Hall to do the Sunday readings, which was fantastic. But whilst I was there, I was like, I've got to get back to Ireland. I need to understand my faith a little bit deeper than this. And do you know something? I'm not that stupid. A lot of these students I was mixing with, I was like, I'm pretty up there with their intelligence. I got to do something with my life. So I came back to Ireland, and I was went to this little prayer meeting with these nuns, and I said, look, I've got to get out of the building trade, even though it's my dad's big major company and he didn't want me to leave. I said, I need to find something else that I'm passionate about. I need to know a little bit more about my faith and stuff like that. So they told me to go along to this college called Mater Dei Institute and do a diploma in human and spiritual development. Now, listen, I hadn't got the qualifications at the time. I think I'm dyslexic. God knows what else. But I just threw myself in there, and thankfully they took me in. And along the way, I was like, wow, this is going to be a challenge. I'm never going to get through this. This is really difficult. But let's just say I really took to that course, and it was so powerful. I couldn't get enough. I was so passionate about it that, I excelled. I absolutely excelled. And during my time there, I was studying with the formation of the Franciscan monks, and other religious would have been in that university, but it was a secular society, more for teachers. And I didn't really just want to be a teacher per se. So up the road, the Congregatio de Propaganda Fide, the church opened its doors to the laity to study with, let's say, the formation of the priests and nuns who were doing their theology studies. But they opened up an elective for psychology and spirituality. And I was deeply into psychology at the time. I think the book, The Road Less Traveled, inspired me to study psychology. So I didn't just want to be a teacher. I wanted to be a counselor, spiritual director or whatever. And luckily enough, I don't know whether it was my friendship with the Franciscan monks that I used to go and pray with at 6 o'clock and peel potatoes and have fun with those guys there, that I actually got in. They accepted me there, which I was thrilled. And there I started my 4-year full-time study in theology and psychology. So yeah, it's a journey that, how can I say, since COVID has exploded again, especially with the onset of artificial intelligence and what that means for society. So that's my background in education. The first in my extended family to go to college.
Oh, I love this story. Thank you so much. And you're such a vibrant energy, a vibrant speaker. And I think that's why we connect so well, because I love your excitement for life. And I have that connection with you as well, with both spirituality and psychology. I teach psychology currently, but I've always been interested in it. I get that from my father. He was a social worker and his background was psychology. But I love this story of you came from this certain background, you went to America, you weren't sure if like college or that track was for you, but you're like, I saw a spark in me and I saw something that I wanted to pursue through my faith. And you kind of then allowed your faith to lead the way. And I love that because that's something I'm recently coming back to is my faith and spirituality since turning 40. And, everyone is a teacher in some way, but being a spiritual mentor and now bringing AI into it, like marrying AI, education, spirituality, ethics all together, there's not a lot of people doing that or talking about it. And I think you are a very um, important voice in our community on LinkedIn and other spaces because everyone's, I think, just talking about either I'm scared of AI or how am I going to make money from it, or how is it going to land in like the billionaires' pockets, right? And how they're going to like be able to do what they want to do with it, and we're just kind of like victims to that system. So kind of segueing from your background into that, how did this like spiritual mentorship, teaching, the work you've been doing, and then now getting into AI, what first sparked you to even want to jump into that world?
Well, let's just say after college, I went to Germany, did some construction. I said, look, I'm going to back and use my degree. I became a teacher in a young offenders prison in Ireland, which was a great privilege and a very profound experience. And I didn't stay there that long. I stayed there for a couple of years, and I looked at the system and teaching and how it's so under resourced, especially at that level. Uh, Next phase for the kids in our institution would have been proper prison, but they were too young to go there. There was a they were getting we were trying to save them from that, so to speak. And just to put in there, I wanted to say that the influences then, I'm going back to 1995, was nothing like what we've got today for our generation of young people. It's important to say that because when we get further into this, I think we'll hit on why we have such massive rise in suicide, depression, and anxiety in our society today. Even looking back all that distance back, like you didn't even have page 3 models or so in Ireland at that time, and now, of course, we're saturated by all sorts of algorithms that are pulling our children and young people in, as we saw recently up in Capitol Hill when the Senate committee, grilled all the top people from Meta, from Snapchat, from Discord, from TikTok, which I have a major problem with, and the others. I suppose Snapchat came out with the best. So yeah, I was a teacher, and I saw so many teachers even then facing burnout, and not that we were in a young offenders institution, but people think, wow, that must have been really tough. And I'm like, something? I had a specialized classroom with with a panic button should anything happen with 5 or 6 young students, violent young students, some of them, and not so violent, very, some kids who would have been abused. And I'm saying, actually, that's a little easier than being in a classroom of 40 or 50 kids are overstocked in our in the modern day parlance of what we see for what teachers have to put up with today. Um, so yeah, that's my little teaching background. So good few years down the road, we all get hit with and I'm forgetting my theology and I'm living life flying around the world for a major airline after following my childhood sweetheart over there. She asked me to go and follow her, and out of the blue I did. um, you know, I was having a great life, good life, but you can have all the great beaches and cocktail parties and fun you want. You still get bored of that after a while, and your true passion and your faith starts haunting, well, coming back to you and asking you, Matt, what is this all about? What are you all about? And if you don't have an avenue to, you know, give what you've got in your faith or in your knowledge of the world, you're kind of like talking in an echo chamber. So COVID-19 comes along, bang, we're all stuck at home on Zooms. And I knew I'm passionate about workers' rights, given the fact that all of my uncles had big, big major companies here in Ireland, but every single one of them seemed to go bankrupt or out of business because of a lack of financial literacy. And I started diving down the rabbit hole of Web3, the metaverse, blockchain, crypto, but really with a passion to understand financial literacy that we don't get taught in school. Yeah, we get taught to go to college, get a 200 grand debt, and get trapped in the system that you cannot get out of. And then you get a mortgage and you get even further trapped into the system. Okay, which today is impossible for Gen Z to get into because the baby boomers and the likes of us, we've outpriced them out of the market. But we don't need to go into all of that today. But we'll be distracted for hours. Let's just say my passion was about wanting to get people financially literate because I thought that was one of the major problems for young men to provide for their families, even in theology school. The lecturer would have asked, what are the major problems that you see today in society? And the young nuns who had come back from a sabbatical, bearing in mind these people ran big hospitals, sure, these are leaders all over the world, these little older nuns who used to come back to have a break and have the refresher. And they said something like bullying in school. I'm like, yeah, bullying, what's that all about? Yeah, it's hard, but it's no big deal. We know it's a massive deal now. And and I was fuming. I was going, what are you talking about? The major problem today is that the working man cannot provide for his family. He's broke. He cannot pay the bills. He's social. These men are taking their lives left, right, and center because they don't think they can provide for their families. I got really angry about that then, well, as a theologian, and even more so when I came to COVID. Okay. So when I took the deep dive and educated myself with the brilliant Raoul Paul and Real Vision, I really love those guys. I've learned so much from them. They're on LinkedIn, by the way, and you can join their course for free. I began to see we got major problems in society when it comes to working classes. Teachers, for example, they can barely pay their bills. It's ridiculous. The teacher today is the priest, the psychiatrist, the
everything,
mentor, the mother, the father, and then they have to put up with parents giving them a hard time. I'm like, no wonder they're leaving in droves.
Yes.
Why would they want to do it? It's so difficult. Yeah. So COVID-19 comes, we're all online. I take LinkedIn seriously. I didn't even know I didn't know nothing about social media. I'm useless. I haven't a clue. Don't know about algorithms, don't know about nothing. I'm a little better now, but I hadn't a clue. I was asking everybody, hey, how does this thing work? What do you do? And slowly, I made all the mistakes that everybody makes when they first joined. But my passion was to tell people, look a thing called artificial intelligence is coming. You're not going to have a job and you need to think of solutions. I'm shouting now because I was shouting then and nobody was really listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you remember you and I talking about our AI first.
Yes. I'm like,
And we
wow, he is
nearly
so
fell out
exciting.
because you were like, I don't want to know about that BS.
I'm like, I'm not ready for all this. What are you
I'm not
talking
ready
about?
for
I
all
am
this.
not.
But
Yes,
you
I was.
remember clearly 2 years ago.
Yes.
And I was like, listen, this is so big. This is going to disrupt the world like we have never imagined in our lives. I'm trying to find solutions. And one of my solutions was financial literacy. Please teach your kids how to do financial literacy. Learn how to make a dollar.
Yeah.
Do what the 1% are doing. Anyway, I shouted that as hard as I could. There's a link there to join an academy if they want. There's lots of places doing it now. And anyway, nobody was really listening, or maybe I wasn't very good at getting my message across, but I did try. And what happens? ChatGPT is dropped on the world. And even then, it's Stockholm syndrome. Same posts, same everybody selling the same product. I'm like, the AI is going to do your job.
Yeah.
Same post, same product, same thing, still going on and on. It's still there now. But more and more people are waking up, especially with what is just being dropped or about to come, where you can make your own blockbuster movie in a matter of minutes. Right?
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying this to scare or be depressing or anything. You know my mission now. I shifted then. Okay, ChatGPT, can you see it now? Do you understand what? That's why I have an elephant, by the way, up on my picture. That's my professional. I'm not taking that elephant down until we all start talking about the
Mm.
elephant in the room. Okay.
Smart. That's a great symbol.
You have Microsoft calling all the biggest trade unions in the world into the offices, saying to them, we cannot promise that your job will not be gone in the next 12 months. Microsoft are
Wow.
telling you that. Microsoft on LinkedIn. And all I'm
Mm-mm-mm.
saying is, guys, can we have a discussion about this? All of us, every single one of us, because this is huge. This is going to change the very fabric of our society. So, what do I move into? My focus is if we're having this discussion, this is all about ethics. What is right for humanity given this massive disruption? So, now my sheer and utter purpose is all about ethical AI and how we, the general public, have got to get behind this mission and start calling out the ones with all the power. We don't have the power, yet we are the many. We're not fighting AI. I love AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI is going to do things for our humanity, if we do it right,
Yes.
that are something we can only dream of, especially in the area of medicine. The problem
Mm.
with AI is us, humanity, our greed and our stupidity. Yeah.
Yes, that is so true. Like,
There's
I see it as it could have the potential to be the most beautiful collaboration. Like, even the way I have used chat here and there, and I explain this to people as like a creator, like it's a co-pilot. Like we are in partnership together. I feed ideas and brainstorming, and then it gets refined, it gets refined. I go back to the drawing board, and I literally see it as like a partner. And if you feed good things to AI, you take care of it, you want to embrace it and be this like creative, positive collaborator. It could be amazing, an amazing tool, but it could very easily, like you said, take over jobs and become a place where only like that 1% that controls pretty much everything, that's just going to get even more so like that. You're going to have even a huge, big socioeconomic gap more than we have today. So I think that's why this is an important conversation. So in your experience now in this world of ethics and AI, and you've been a speaker, you can talk a little bit about that. What are you seeing in now 2020, well, probably end of 2023 into this very early part of 2024, like are things developing with ethics? Are things moving in the right direction? Are more people coming on board like you? Like, I mean, you can talk about what you experienced at that Human AI Institute or whatever you want to share.
absolutely. It was very there. I thought I was a lone wolf on LinkedIn for a while, screaming about ethics and AI, and you do think you're you're a weirdo. I've had people say, Matt, you're shouting stuff that's 10 years ahead of the curve. Do you want to do that on your own on LinkedIn? You're going to look like an idiot. Why don't you come in on us and have a little think tank, and we'll do cybersecurity and all this jazz? And I was like, yeah, but it's very important. At heart, I'm an educator. Actually, I'm an evangelist. I'm an evangelist for the truth that I understand. And we are so far behind the S curve. Let me explain what I mean by that is the brilliant Ray Kurzweil, would be seen as the godfather of artificial intelligence. And he wrote a book in 2005 called The Singularity is Near. We don't have to get into that just yet because it can be complex. But it basically means when AI takes over completely. Yeah. And Mo Gadwat would say, he was the head of Google X. He resigned to speak out exactly the way what I'm trying to do here. Only he's much more famous and he's doing a wonderful, wonderful job. And I absolutely love the man for what he does. But he says artificial intelligence is going to be 1 billion times more intelligent than humanity by 2045. Okay. He was the first to see these things going autonomous and training themselves without the input of humanity or any human. So this is the first time in history. It's not like any other industrial revolution. All other industrial evolutions, let's say the printing press, it was invented, but it took 500 years to get around humanity, and we all benefit from it. Then we had the steam engine, radio, communication. Now we inputted the information into that. But as Yuval Harari would tell you, we're now coming to a point where the machines don't need us to put it in eventually. They will become autonomous. They will break away. Large language models, educational models, teaching models, they'll break away and they'll be able to join together on the internet, learn from each other and break away again. Yeah. And that is a phenomenon that humanity has never, ever witnessed before. So you asked me, what am I looking at? My interest now is who the hell is regulating? I shouldn't say regulating this because those top people in AI would tell you we're not able to regulate this. So what am I saying? I'm saying, okay, how do we get all stakeholders around the table so that we have some sort of input into the deployment of this incredible power? Like we are creating a super consciousness. Yeah.
Yes.
Beyond what a lot of people can really truly understand. At the moment, my studies have been Joe Biden panicked, rushed out whatever he did before Christmas, and that seems to have stopped. Yeah. Mr. Sonderling, the senator for Washington, has actually put out, he's doing a paper with the head of law in Seton Hall and is liking the ability to let's not use the word regulate because that'll become a nasty word, a directive to companies like after the 2008 banking crisis. We kind of have to do something like that with AI. That's kind of laughable. It is so far behind the power and technology of this stuff. Okay. So we moved into Europe. Okay. And the EEC before Christmas put out their elective. Okay. Now, let me just say, actually, I could not believe that the head of the UN came on LinkedIn before Christmas and said, we are going to put together a special task force for AI. I went, 2023, you're putting a special the police of the human race is putting a task force together in 2023. And you know when they're going to give us our first paper? September 2024. Okay.
Too slow.
So the first world regulatory body is the European Union. It just came out. It cannot be enforceable for the next 4 months because they're all working on it. Okay. Then I read, they're going to put an extra 20 people on this. Okay. And then they're going to hopefully get 80 volunteers on the task force for cybersecurity within AI and everything else. Yeah. And they're going to look at pumping $700 million or euro into cybersecurity and protecting you and me and our children from possible harm. That number is so laughable when you look at Sam Altman asking for $7 trillion for AI development.
Mm.
A sum of money that could end world hunger, deprivation overnight. You see the disparity
Yeah.
within government, society, ourselves as public people. There's huge disparity between what's known as the accelerationists, the people who are blasting ahead with the technology without due consideration for ethical concerns for the rest of humanity. Yeah.
Mm.
So there is no regulation in the world. That is why I'm on LinkedIn calling for a global charter, bigger and beyond the European Union, the World Trade Organization, NATO, and the United Nations. We are so far behind the accelerationists in understanding where this technology is going that basically whatever they seem to want to be able to do or get away with, it doesn't look like we can get the genie back into the bottle. So
Yeah.
you'd say to me, why bother continue, Matthew? And I said, well, I'd rather die trying to tell
Yes.
people exactly where we're headed. And are you going to come on this journey with me and others like the Human Institute? When I went there, I flew all the way to Phoenix because I believed that I had kindred spirits who are professionals from MIT, far more. I'm not an IT. I'm not a code. Not that we need that anymore because the AI does all of that for us now. We can get into how college degrees are
Mm.
useless now in some areas because of what's happening now with the AI. So I went to Phoenix, Arizona. Wonderful, wonderful people. Not all of them in agreement. Some people who work for the FBI, blah blah blah, and some people who came from MIT, and especially the wonderful Rebecca Morta, who put this nonprofit together and a for-profit, and she's getting more and more people like ourselves to go around the world and start having these conversations so we can educate the many and not just the few.
Mm.
Because there is only Imad Mustak, the brilliant Imad Mustak. He created Stability AI. Now, this is an example of the wonder of AI and how fantastic it is. Imad, with his AI, was able to educate in numeracy and literacy faster than you would in the Western world 7 million refugee children in Malawi
Mm.
without the need for a computer or the internet,
Wow.
and a handful of teachers.
Yeah.
Amazing man. An
It can
amazing
be
man.
it could be a
Who,
place to like equalize the playing field for children and people around the world who don't have access to that technology. That's where it can be so powerful and helpful, and that's
powerful.
what we want to promote, right?
Well, we're working on that across Africa at the minute with two very exciting projects that I'm not personally involved because my gig is the ethics and education and I can't get distracted into everything. But yeah, we've got some really big things happening all across Africa.
That's
With
wonderful.
with that in mind.
Yeah, and I think I would love to see, I like the idea that you brought up the UN and all of these, different bodies, right? And it's still very much the Western world. There's a whole chunk of the world that gets left out of these conversations, and we need to start thinking really in a global mindset where global stakeholders, it's not just the few rich countries that they're slow at progress because they don't want to change things and rock the boat because it feels like they're doing just fine, right? They're doing just fine in their country. And I think I don't, the UN's been kind of useless recently. And you talk about all the
You
wars
said
that are
that.
going on. I know, I did. And like I'm a social studies teacher and I
I'm
teach about
innocent.
the UN, but they're
Yeah.
too slow. Like you just said,
Yes.
like
It's the
they're too
bureaucracy.
slow.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
yeah. And then we're going to have now an election that humanity has never witnessed in its life, and it's going to be really bad. We're going to see deep fake like we've never seen before in the next US presidential election. Okay,
I
so
can
now we
see
have
it.
Joe Biden trying to put in the precautionary principle to kind of let's get together here and look at what's happening here with AI. Okay, we're going to go into a messy election, and then you got another administration in place. How many years are they going to be looking at trying to look after AI? Yeah. So all these big, massive bureaucratic bodies are too slow. So in that, Mo Gadwat has a wonderful mission about 1 billion happy citizens. Yeah. I'd love to go into that. We might not have time for that. And it'll tell you why we have to be responsible on social media now and what we pump into social media, because the AI is learning from us.
Mm-hmm.
It's in its infancy. Even though it's Einstein now, that's kindergarten for it. And the way in which it educates itself is by. But what do we have on social media today? Let's get back, to the tensions in the world. I put up 2 posts on LinkedIn, one about the Oppenheimer moment and one about the United Nations when Joe Biden was in town in New York. I happened to be in New York by chance. You see, last night I was watching a deeply profound discussion in Germany on the future of security in artificial intelligence and society. When you understand that 90%, there's only 50 people in the world that can do this AI, and probably about 5 companies that can deploy it at scale, okay? And 90% of that is based in the United States of America and Silicon Valley. When you realize that, and if you understand that artificial intelligence is going to be, whoever wins the prize for artificial intelligence is not a new concept. Artificial intelligence is DeepMind been 15 and 20 years ago. The problem is when Sam Altman dropped ChatGPT as a virus on humanity, he basically initiated what's known as the AI arms race. So now Google and all those others had no choice but to go and enter into the arms race to find out who are going to have the best products and who's going to. So there's an escalation, and an escalation. And what's the escalation for? Profit over people. Yeah. So what made me get into why I wanted to fight for ethics in AI? When I found out in January 2023 that Microsoft had sacked its entire ethics committee, that really disturbed me. Yeah. Why would you sack your ethics committee?
Because they don't want them getting involved.
I asked ChatGPT to tell me, why would your company sack your ethics committee? And in short, it came back because it would slow down profits.
See? Oh my goodness. That is wild and very scary.
But to make it more disturbing, look what happened on Instagram and Meta with our young minors. That was pushed on them, sexual imagery. But why? Because what makes profit today is war, violence, sex, pornography. And because we're clicking on that algorithm, young people, that is what the AI is going to reward.
Yeah. Yes.
And we are already caught in that matrix, you see. And that is where, unfortunately, our youth are no longer in a established religion, whether it be a mosque, a church, Sunday school. We were all made to go through that process. Today in society, we are experiencing for the first time true atheism in action, where it's taking hold. Now, the young people won't say it's atheism because they will go over to Instagram, Facebook, and they're following these guys who are Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, the likes of Sam Harris, big followings, big gurus. And ethics on its own, wonderful. But when it's pagan ethics, it is telling the young person that the truth you're seeking is in you. You hear it all over LinkedIn. You hear it all over social media. The problem is when you become the ruler of your own kingdom, which we all know what that means in faith. That's what Satan tried to do. You realize, are you the best thing? Is this as good as it gets? Me? I'm the ruler. That's the major difference between ethics and Stoicism, which is a pagan belief system, and let's say Christian, Muslim, Hindu ethics. They all put a divine source or before and themselves. And that's the big key difference. And when we're seeing this happening all the time, and they worship at the foot of the Stoics on Instagram by click, and getting caught up in the algorithm of life, they eventually become worn out. And they're going to become distracted, burnt out, tired, disillusioned, withdrawn from communities, going and meeting people. And we're finding, what I found absolutely startling was that 75% of young men in Harvard or something like this, the statistics for young guys going into college, have never had an intimate, I don't mean sexual relationship with someone, intimate, where you went to a college a prom or something, and you fell out with a girl, or you had an argument, or you had a kiss, or since an early age, there was a connection. 75% of our young men have not had that experience, and they're in college now, young adults.
Yeah. I'm seeing that. I talk about that often with some friends in my life, is that you're seeing less intimate interactions between people, young people, and they're not having that regular connection and socialization. And most of how they are in the world is online, and looking at a lot of things that are very phony and fake, and then going back to the Instagram and all of that, the influencers have a lot of power and have a lot of control over these young kids, and they look at them like they're gods, they look at these people and they control their interest and mindset. And that's why, something I write about in my book is that I really do believe all schools, even secular schools, can have some aspect of a higher belief in a higher source and consciousness. You don't have to call it God. You don't have to call it Christianity. It doesn't have to be a one size fits all. But I think within our communities, we are missing that connection of faith in something higher than you. And that there's a lack of humility. There's a lack of wanting to serve. There's a lack of wanting to actually connect and do something for your community, which was present for a very long time. And you would have thought maybe through COVID, it would have helped to maybe create that, because we all went through a collective experience, but it actually is separating us further. And so I appreciate this conversation, because I think we are aligned, and I'm learning more from you about the AI and ethics track, but I think we're very much aligned with what is missing in schools and communities is that deeper sense of faith and connection. And that's what we need to bring back. And that's how we need to feed also that into AI. We need to show AI, like you talk about AI being children, and we're like the parents. Very quickly in the future, not far down the road, like you mentioned, they're going to be adults and we're not going to be their parents anymore. So we need to be showing AI that community, service, connection, faith, the idea of being humble, that's part of what we want in the human race. And that's what we want to show AI, and not that it's about power and greed and control and war and sex and all these things that you've talked about. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be listening to this. This is a very different teacher story episode, but I'm all about it. They could be like, what the heck are they talking about? Are they smoking some weed or something? Can I get on that? But it's no, this is even a year from now, maybe less than that. Go back to this episode and people are like, oh, wow. Yes. Now I see it. It's we have to be ahead of the game. So I really appreciate this conversation. Any last thoughts or words that you want to share about AI ethics, education, the future, and then any other information you want to share about yourself?
Yeah, you hit on it perfectly well. What the problem is, and my argument is that we are reducing the human condition in AI down to secularism, pure secularism. What do I mean by that? Utilitarianism, a reduction to numbers, algorithms, without the fullest potential of humanity, of thousands of years of the fabric of compassion, forgiveness, love, that are the ethics of humanity. So I am arguing that all stakeholders, all of us, have to be around the table when we are, but at the moment it's not. It's a bunch of scientists, IT people. Actually, it's a bunch of geeky men. There's no women, very few women involved. There's a massive need for women, because this is how the AI is coded. Is it coded with a male dominant certain culture, maybe Caucasian, like intellectuals? That's what's being used primarily at the moment. Yeah. And there alone, we see massive bias,
Yes.
huge bias already delivered. And that is the question where I'm saying, no, 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 no. We all have to be around this table together. Hence the reason for my posts with the Dalai Lama, Jesus. Where are they in the conversation, please?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And whatever your belief, I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care. But we all deserve to be around the table as the human race.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the reason for a global, universal ethical charter that we can leave our theological differences at the door. We don't have to say my God's better than your God's better than mine. That's what's known in theology as the scandal of particularity. Theologians know that we are all one body, if you like, all connected, all interconnected. We get that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the flock don't get that because they're in a primordial faith handed down from mommy and daddy that they never deeply go into. But they go in deeply into all other systems and mindfulness. They go into all of this other, but they never go deeply into their own theology. Yeah. And that is a crisis that we all have to face. That's what we're experiencing now, is a rebellion by Gen Z. I'm not going to do what you did. I'm not going to, you know, we might want to do that to our parents. I'm not going to do it. I don't believe what you believe. We're seeing that now in Catholicism, Protestantism. We're seeing that now. In some ways it's good because it's a real we're not going to be led by the nose. We want to know more. But instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater and moving over to other disciplines and stuff like that, I would have preferred if we could have a system where they go deeper into their theology to find that the truth. I mean, the truth is there. The truth is in every faith. It's there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
But we tend not to do that. And at the moment, the algorithms seem to have Gen Z for the moment.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to end on a depressing note. I want to end on a very positive note. If we get this right ethically, AI is going to elevate humanity to electricity is going to be free, water is going to be free, food will be in abundance. It's going to do incredible, incredible things. It's amazing what we can do now with CRISPR cut and paste medicine, the diseases that we can cure. It is astounding. The miraculous work that's happening in AI. We cannot let it fall into the hands of just the capitalists who want profit over people. And the beautiful thing about Mo Gadwad's mission, 1 billion happy, is that you and I matter. We, the people, for the people, have a very big mission as teachers and educators. Every time I will now start to post on LinkedIn or something, I will put 75% of my posts will be about love and humanity and leaning into our humanness. Why? Because I want to say in 20 years' time, I tried to educate the AI to think that we are worth preserving. If the AI took over now and saw how we are murdering and killing and maiming ourselves, it would probably not want humanity to exist because we are killing the planet and killing ourselves. So we today, you, me, Jackie, you beautiful soul, and everything that you're doing, and the reason I'm on here is because I believe in you and what you're doing, and I know where you're going, that for teachers, it's going to be a lot easier because like the Cannes Institute, for example, people are worried. At the moment, you can do your degree with ChatGPT and universities are turning a blind eye. I know that for a fact, right? Now that puts teachers on the back foot going, what is my purpose? What am I doing? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. The Cannes Institute, for example, introduces something where the teacher and the parent can see what the kid is asking ChatGPT. Okay. So the child would know not to be, and it doesn't give you the answer. It teaches you how to find the answer. Yeah. Into the future. That may give teachers a lot more time to do the holistic human side. Now, I am coaching anyone who asks me to go to university. They're saying, what should I study, Matt? I said, well, lawyer, job gone. That's gone. Proof gone, gone. That's going to go, gone. The AI is doing all of that. Not saying that you do educate yourself in these disciplines, but face the reality that AI is going to do this a million times better than you or I at the moment. Simply by virtue of the fact that our brains are in a little skull, confined. Their brains are data centers.
Mm-hmm.
Connected to data center, connected to data center. We cannot compete, and we should not try to compete. And I see all the snake oil charmers all over social media selling you
Yeah.
courses and chat you, trying to make a buck. That doesn't interest me. What interests me is humanity and getting the message out that we, the people, for the people, have a chance to begin to change the narrative on social media of one of love, compassion, forgiveness. At the moment, you go on Reddit, you're going,
Mm.
there's no proper argument. Argument's good. It's based on
Yeah.
premise, supposition. It's squabbling. It's shouting. It's throwing stones at each other. It's a horrible, horrible environment. And we, though, you and I, the rest of humanity has a major job in being very responsible what we put out there on the World Wide Web. But
I
we can do
agree.
it. We can
100%.
do it. And when you have a sense of purpose, when you wake up in the morning and ask your creator, whoever that creator is, please don't just rely on yourself like the Stoics. You have to ask your creator
Yeah.
to give you the wisdom of what it is best in humanity that you want to say now on social
Mm-hmm.
media to give our future generations a chance. It's a big task, but it's if we just change one person at a time or one big influencer at a time, we can
Mm-hmm.
really, really do some wonderful, wonderful things into the future. So that's my message. Although I've
I
been
love that.
warning about what's coming, I really hope that people start to take ethics in AI now very, very seriously and get behind the movement because it will lift all ships to understand where we're all headed into the exponential, exciting, super scary, smart future.
Oh, wow. Wonderful way to end that. And I agree 100%. You know, little baby steps, as I have my hashtag 8 billion baby steps. That's all we can do. You do one thing each day, positivity, send out the love, love for humanity, connection, and we're doing our part. And I always said too, like, I just keep doing this till the day that I die. And I'm leaving an imprint, you're leaving an imprint, all of these people that maybe we can help influence to leave their positive imprints. And slowly but surely, it does make a difference, you know? And that has to be the motivation is one little thing, one baby step, one day at a time. And it's just spreading the love. Oh, I love this message. I cannot wait to share it. This is actually going to air on St. Patrick's Day for you, Matthew
How,
Kilkenny.
how wonderful.
I can't wait. It's going to be a great, great Sunday. So thank you so much for coming on the Teacher Story. I will plug all of your information in the show notes so people can find you. Please follow Matthew on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. His messages are super positive, very educational, very future forward thinking, and you can learn a lot from him. So thank you so much for sharing your brilliance today.
Oh, God bless you, Jackie, for creating this lovely space. And yeah, this is my first podcast properly. And hopefully now it's my responsibility to get out there and get the message to a wider audience. God bless you and
Yes,
thank you very
God
much.
bless you. Thank you. And I'm sure you'll be on many more. The world needs your voice.